Hi, Roxy Keller here again, and I'm continuing to bake my way through the Great British Baking Show challenges, and I'm still working on year 2017. It is week 8, which is Forgotten Bakes week, and today is supposed to be the technical challenge, which the bakers were asked to make a Rum Nicky, which apparently is basically just a fruit pie with a lattice on top. All of the flavors are very warm and fall, and around here it's just beginning to be spring. The daffodils are popping up, and I want to do something more in line with spring. So I've done apple pies with lattice before, so I'm going to cheat a little bit and make a Bakewell Tart. That's probably the opposite of a forgotten bake, because I think it's one of the most popular things that people in England, Great Britain, like to eat is a Bakewell Tart. And I'm not sure if the traditional Bakewell Tart is supposed to be raspberries or cherries. I see lots of either one. And when I looked it up, it said you could pretty much use any type of berry you want. So again, it's spring. The strawberries are starting to pop up. My own strawberry plants are looking very green. It'll probably be a few weeks before I actually get fruit from them. I wanted to make a strawberry Bakewell Tart. So I found a recipe that is for a cherry Bakewell Tart from the Veggie Eats website, and I am going to do pretty much exactly what that recipe has, except I'm going to substitute strawberries for cherries. And strawberries go with almond. Frangipan, the thing about this tart is that it's a sweet short crust pastry dough. So rather than just basically flour and water, you also get some sugar and even a little bit of vanilla in the crust. This is for an 8-inch tart, and this is a tart pan where the bottom lifts out. That's how you want to do most tarts. And I found this really cool, this pan on Amazon, of course, and it has this rubber piece in the middle that has the same shape as the ridges on the actual tart pan. So the idea is to press your tart into the pan with the fluted edges, then put this on the inside of that and press against the tart. I just thought it would be really cool to try to use this pan. Like I said, it's an 8-inch pan, so it seems kind of small, but I think that's kind of a common size tart or cake in Britain. So let's get started. As with other pastry doughs that I've done, I'm going to mix in my food processor. So I need 160 grams of flour. So of course I need to put my food processor bowl on a scale if I'm going to weigh it. So 160 grams of all-purpose flour. To the flour, I need to, they say rub in, because that's what you do if you do it by hand, you rub it in. 80 grams of butter. I'm using salted butter. And I'm just going to put several pieces in. If I can keep them all separated with a little bit of butter, with a little bit of flour, I will just put them all in and then put them on the motor. Just cover them up with a little bit of flour so they don't stick to each other. That way they get more evenly distributed. That's 74 and 80. Okay, now I will process this until the butter is chopped up nicely. Okay, starting to look like little crumbs. Now, different from a savory pastry or a pastry without any sweetness, To this, because it's going to be sweet, I need to add 50 grams of what the British call icing sugar. Of course, that's just powdered sugar. So 50 grams of powdered sugar. Okay, the final two ingredients are 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I will get this spinning, add the egg, add the vanilla. That came together and then it fell apart again, but I'll just mix it by hand to make sure all of that vanilla got mixed in. And I know I probably shouldn't have just cracked the egg right over the hole like that, because what if I get shells in there? But I have enough confidence in myself to do 1 egg without shells. I did it. That is a very soft dough. I'm supposed to get that into a little disc so that when I'm going to put it in the refrigerator in plastic wrap for 30 minutes and then pull it out and roll it. I guess the more pastries I do, the more rolling I do, the better I'll get it rolling. Okay, into the fridge for 30 minutes. So while the dough is chilling, I'm going to get the strawberries ready to go on top of the frangipane. And I'm going to wash these using, I put them in a bowl, put water to cover the fruit, add a little baking soda, add a little vinegar, let it sit for a few minutes, and that's how I clean my vegetables and fruit. Okay, so my strawberries are washed, and I have the oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to hull these, which just means cutting off the top, and then I'm going to try to slice them in nice slices that are I don't know, a little less than 1/4 inch. I know if I were on a baking competition, they would want your slices to be exactly the same thickness. And I try. Let's see. I'm going to put these on a scale because it says to use 100 grams of fresh cherries. And of course, I'm substituting strawberries, so I just want to see how much 100 grams is. Sheesh, it's already 59. I'll probably use more than 100. And with the strawberries I have left, I'll just put a little bit of granulated sugar on them, put them in the refrigerator, and then we can have it over some cake or ice cream. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't bother with the sugar, but these strawberries probably aren't super sweet. Let's see. They aren't super red. They're okay. They're actually pretty good. I know my babies will love them. Of course they do. There's my oven, thinking it's preheated, but it's not. So it goes off after 8 minutes, and it's only 250 degrees in there. So that's why I have to set it way ahead of time. I have enough that I could make a strawberry pie too, right? Okay, I have plenty of strawberries, way more than I need. So the dough still needs about 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up the frangipan. Okay, so frangipan is basically custard but made with almonds, and I'll use almond flour for the almond component. It calls for 100 grams of softened butter, and I didn't take my butter out, so a stick is about 113 grams. Let's take a guess. Oh my gosh! It's flickering between 100 and 101. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna just soften this in the microwave for about 20 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna blend this in my stand mixer. So I have the bowl of my stand mixer on the scale, and I'm to blend the butter softened and what they call caster sugar. So the British use a granulated sugar that has slightly smaller or finer grains of sugar, and they call it caster sugar. Most of the time, I don't think it matters that we have a slightly larger granule. But I happen to have what this company calls baker's sugar. It's ultra fine granulated sugar. So I have it. I'm going to go ahead and use it. So I need 100 grams of caster sugar, or superfine sugar, 100 grams of softened butter. I'm using salted butter. Now with the paddle attachment on my stand mixer, I'm going to blend these. Creaming them together incorporates air in the butter. While the butter and sugar continue to cream together, I'm going to weigh out 100 grams of almond flour, and this is as close as I have to ground almonds. To the butter and sugar, I'll add 1 egg at room temperature, and I didn't have it at room temperature, so I just put it in a little bowl of warm water for a few minutes. I'm going to blend the egg. My almond flour is a little lumpy, so I'm just going to break it up a little bit. Now add 100 grams of almond flour to my mixture. I think I've seen on the baking shows that they'll do versions of frangipan that has ground hazelnuts, ground walnuts, pecans, pistachios. So lots of different things you can do with this. Finally, a ½ teaspoon of almond extract. Okay, so the dough is ready to roll out. And since it's so soft, I don't mind having the flour on there. I don't want to fall into that same situation I have with some previous doughs. So I went ahead and sprayed my tart pan with this baking flour spray. Stuff's great. All right, that's a 1/4 inch, and that is not going to be big enough. So the recipe doesn't tell me how thick to roll it out, so I'm going going to go to my next size down, which is 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters. All right, let's see if this works. Pretty thin, pretty soft. You can do it this way instead of trying to flip it. Okay, all right. The egg in there actually, I think, helps with the staying together and the flexibility of the dough. And you want to lift up the edges to let them settle in there so that they fill out all the interior edges. Okay, let's try my little thingamajig here. I guess it'll be important to get it in the right spot. Well, that's fabulous. Really helps you get the dough into the creases. Obviously, that's what it's for. It actually works. That is super cool. All right, so now it says to put this in the refrigerator until you're ready with everything else. Well, I am ready for everything else, but I think I'll put it in the refrigerator about half an hour just to make sure when it goes in the oven it doesn't shrink. So into the fridge for half an hour. It says if it's going to be in there more than an hour, you should cover it with plastic wrap, but I'm not going to leave it in there that long. This is a nice sweet dough, so I think I'm going to just make some little sugar cookies with it. Okay, we're ready to put this together and put it in the oven. So you don't have to do this, but I'm going to put my frangipan in a pastry bag so that I can pipe it. So I'm going to start there. Also, since I have so many strawberries, I'm going to be a little, the British would say, cheeky, and put some strawberries on the bottom of my tart, and then put the frangipan in. Okay, that's how it looks. Now, the frangipan. I'm going to cut a pretty big hole because basically I just want to fill my tart and I want to use all of this, and it doesn't really have to look pretty. I just want to get it evenly distributed. Now I'll just use this offset spatula to make sure it's smooth. Okay, now I need to lay out some strawberries on top. Having all of these gives me the opportunity to pick out the best looking ones and all about the same shape. Okay, the last item is some sliced almonds to put in between the strawberries. In the recipe, they call it flaked almonds, and I'm not sure what that is. I hear it on the British podcaster I listen to, so I'm not sure if it's the same as sliced almonds, but that's the closest thing I know of. So. Okay, there we go. Now it's time to go in the oven. It says until the filling is golden brown. I'm a little worried about the crust burning for 30 minutes. I'm going to check it after about 15 minutes and see if I need to put some foil over the edge. Okay, going in the oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to check it after 15 minutes. So as I suspected, it's been 25 minutes and the edges are perfectly golden. The center is completely raw. So I'm going to put some foil around the outside. There's probably some super smart way to do this. And that probably wasn't it, but the pan is hot, so I'm just trying to be careful and not get burned. So, all right, going back in the oven. Okay, this is it. And overall, it took 43 minutes. So after 25 minutes, I put the foil around the edges and then baked for another 18 minutes. It's been cooling for a while now, so I'm ready to get it out of the pan and give it a taste. So to get it out, they usually set it on something that they can, yeah, there we go, take off the round part, and then I need to slide it. I need to get this bottom part off. Okay, yay. Pretty good. I can feel the texture of the almonds in the
frangipane, and the strawberries do add a nice little bright flavor. I'm glad I put the strawberries on the bottom also because more strawberry flavor. Okay, well, that is my Strawberry Bakewell Tart, and this is the end of the technical challenge. So the final challenge of Forgotten Bakes Week is something called a Savoy cake, and none of the British bakers had even ever heard of this, maybe one. And apparently it is kind of like an angel food cake that they used to make these big showstopper centerpieces back in the 1800s. And apparently the taste was so bad that no one ever actually ate them. So part of the challenge for the bakers was to make this type of cake and have it taste good, add a little bit to it. Apparently you don't put frosting on it, you decorate it with other things. And so yeah, that's what I'll be doing next. I'll be kind of glad to do a cake again. I feel like I've been doing pastries for quite a while, and I'm ready to do a cake again. So please join me next time, and thanks for watching today. I appreciate it and hope that I hear from you. Please leave a comment if you have a comment, and please subscribe if you haven't, and ask your friends to subscribe. And thanks. See you next time. Bye.